Hi, I'd like to call the meeting to order. The roll call, Ray?
Mr. Raccomando?
Present.
Mrs. Borelli?
Present.
Mr. Cipollone?
Present.
Mrs. Mahoney?
Present.
Mr. Quinn?
Present.
Mrs. Robinson?
Present.
Mr. White? Mr. Winnie?
Present.
Mrs. Zattarelli?
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all members of the Board of Education and the Bergen Record in accordance with the provision of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, 1975. So first, we have the superintendent's report.
Okay, good evening. Just before we get started with any reports from me, I would like to introduce, as we spoke in the past, our auditor will be here, or is here. So I'd like to introduce Paul Lurch, who will give you a report based on the accounting and auditing of our finances and certain things we've spoken about before. But Paul, come on up. Thanks.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I do want to start out by saying that the room looks fabulous. The last time I was here, I think the last couple of times we were in the library, but the last time I was in this room, it didn't look this way. Yeah, so it really looks nice. So I'm here to present the audit results and the findings for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2017. The Board of Education and the board members should have received two separate reports. The smaller of the two reports is a compliance report, which is really set up in format by the state of New Jersey, and we follow that specific format. It's really to identify, what areas had to have been audited, what was audited, and the results of those auditing procedures. And we'll talk about that at the very end. The other two reports is the larger, the comprehensive annual financial report. This really gives the opinions of financial statements, footnotes, statistical data, introductory data, and at the very end, it does talk about your federal single audit requirements. So I'm going to dive into that one just briefly here, and we'll talk about some particular schedules in here. And if you don't have the schedules with you, it's fine. I know you have a synopsis, and some of the stuff will be on a synopsis. But just from a big picture perspective, there are three audit opinions that are part of the report itself in the comprehensive annual financial report. The very first opinion is the overall arching opinion, and that is the opinion that is attached to the financial statements and the footnotes to make sure that they are presented fairly and accurately. That opinion is a clean opinion, an unmodified opinion. That's exactly what you're looking for is at a Board of Education, so that's good news. The second opinion in the report is a GAS opinion, Governmental Auditing Standards opinion. And that report is really dictated for us as governmental auditors to examine laws, regulations, contracts, all of those type of compliance items, and to make a report and an opinion on that. Again, you received an unmodified, clean opinion on the GAS opinion. And the very last opinion, the third opinion, is an opinion on your state and federal programs which are subject to a federal single audit, or what I'm going to use is a single audit terminology. Really what that means is that if you have either state or federal grant expenditures that exceed the new level now is $750,000 in total, what's required of us is to perform what I use as the terminology is a single audit. It really means that if you are in excess of those numbers, we have to then select the larger of those grants and do specific grant compliance auditing. So then we have to download the grant supplements, the compliance supplements, and then we have to dive into those grants in detail to determine the allowability, eligibility, allowable costs, any of those type of components that are attributable to those grants. You were subject to a federal single audit. You had over $800,000 in expenditure, so you just carried that number over, and you had over $3 million on the state side. Clean opinions on those single audit grant compliances as well. So good news from an overall perspective. All the opinions are clean. Certainly what you want to see. I'm going to look at the financial statements, and I'll talk to the board here a little bit about the surplus and how the year ended. And I'm going to look at Exhibit C1, and I know that you don't have an Exhibit C1 as part of the synopsis. The synopsis has the modified accrual basis of accounting, but really it's important for me, and I think for the board members, to focus on the budgetary basis of accounting, because that's the financial statement and the revenue and expenditure report that you're worried or concerned about, and that's what you're going to utilize and look at when you bill your budgets. And it's always based upon the budgetary basis of accounting in the state of New Jersey. So if I was to look at page 67, for those of you that don't have it, it's not a big deal. I'm just going to discuss some of the components of it. So Exhibit C1 and the final page is 67. Again, it's a comparison budgetary schedule. It'll have all your revenues, all your expenditures, the modified amounts, budgetary-wise, actual, and then you'll have the variance column. And what this does is it shows the picture of where you ended 2017 on a fiscal year, P&L. So for the Saddlebrook Board of Education, you ended the year with expenditures in excess of revenues of $712,687. So we went from a fund balance of $2,509,925 to a fund balance of $1,797,238. And I'll just describe what that $1,797,000 is comprised of. So various components, and I'm going to work from the bottom up here. I'm going to start with the unassigned. We have an unassigned, assigned, and restricted. Unassigned fund balance, the Board of Education ended the year with $679,658 in unassigned fund balance. General rule of thumb, Board of Educations in the state of New Jersey can retain a maximum of 2% of your operating expenditures. Of course, there are exceptions to every rule, and there are exceptions to these rules. We have slight modifications here for any unused extraordinary aid or non-public. That amounted to approximately another $38,000, so that's how we got to the $279,000. So it was the 2% plus the modification got us up to that $279,000. Very similar to where you were last year. Okay. Then working up the assigned column here, we have two components designated for subsequent years. Designated, anytime we see designated in the analysis of fund balance, it simply means that we're utilizing that balance or those numbers to balance the budget that's subsequent to the year end. So the $75,000 and the $998 is the amount that you're utilizing in the current budget. So we are currently in the 2017-18 school year. Those amounts were being utilized as a revenue line item. The other item under assigned is year-end encumbrances of $437,086. An encumbrance simply means a reservation of equity. It represents dollars that are set aside for goods or services which were ordered, but yet not either rendered or completed or delivered. So a prime example would be us, Lurch, Vinci, and Higgins. The Board of Education contracted with Lurch, Vinci, and Higgins to do the audit. So it's a reservation right now. Of course, we couldn't perform any of those duties or services prior to year end. So it's a reservation of equity. Had I done the audit, or had you ordered heating oil, and the heating oil was delivered by June 30, 2017, then it would have been an accounts payable, not an encumbrance, and it would be shown as an expense up in your P&L. So these are just items that you ordered, or goods or services that were not yet received or rendered. That $437,000 will simply roll into next year's budget. So when you look at your budget report for 2017-18, it'll be the original budget, and it'll roll the encumbrances of the $437,000. Going up now into the restricted, the final components of fund equity. First item, working my way up from the bottom, is a maintenance reserve. Last year, we had no maintenance reserve. There was zero. This year, the Board of Education, in the June resolution, approved a $100,000 transfer into the maintenance reserve. The maintenance reserve is money that's set aside for the required facility maintenance of the buildings. And that number can go up to 4% of the local share. So that's you're obviously way far from that maximum number. Capital reserve is the next reserve. That number is sitting at $260,000. We started the year with $1,227,000. We did increase it with a June board transfer of $200,000, but we used it through the budget and through board resolutions last year, utilized over $1.2 million of it. So we ended the year again with $260,000 in the capital reserve. And that capital reserve, as you know, is to be used for facility improvements of the district. And then we come up to excess surplus, which is really the grand, or the final number. So when I sat here last year with you, we talked about what the excess surplus number was. Well, that's the amount that's currently identified as designated. So last year's excess was $135,000. This year's excess is $108,000. So the $135,000 is currently being utilized in the year we're in, which is the 17-18 school budget, as a line item of revenue. It's taxpayer relief. When you develop your 18-19, you'll automatically have to utilize $108,000 as a minimum number of surplus. And that'll be taxpayer relief at that point. Okay. If anybody has any questions, otherwise I'm going to move on and talk a little bit about the pension funds and the funding. I think it's a good way for the board members to have a little bit of a feel for where we are on the pension liability at the state level, not so much as how it pertains to you, but you can see your proportionate share and how that's reflected with Saddlebrook Board of Education. We've all heard tremendous amount of dialogue regarding pensions recently. And I just want to shed a little bit of light as to some of the historical data. I mean, obviously, I don't know where we're going in the future. But if you were to look at, and if you have your report, I'm going to just work off of page 71, 72. But I really want to talk about first the public employees retirement system. The public employees retirement system is for all employees of the district that are not TPAF or really layman's term teachers. So it's going to be all the non-teacher side of it. That pension liability has gone up from, over the last 4 years for you, went from $9.5 million to $11.3 million, okay? As a school board, you are responsible for the PERS, which is the non-teacher side of it, so you are responsible to make these payments. And what's happening at the state of New Jersey, and part of the audit requirements now for full disclosure, when we go to a full accrual basis, the Governmental Auditing Standards Boards requires this information now to be presented, and that is really what's the total liability of the pension system. And really, the state of New Jersey then hired KPMG to do an actuarial report, and they determined what the total liability is, or what the liability will be as of this specific date for all of the employees that were part of the Saddlebrook Board of Education or currently in that system. And that's all based on life expectancies, rate of returns, and whatnot. So that number has, like I said, went up to $11.3 million. But what's interesting is the contribution side of it. And you're paying contributions based upon what the state of New Jersey's telling you to pay. Every year, you get a bill from the Department of Treasury, and it says this is your PERS pension liability, and you make that payment by April 1st. So you made a payment of $338,988. The full funding that was required per the actuarial report was $424,000. So you guys are paying about 46% of what the professionals are saying that a fully funded pension system would require on an annual basis. You're actually a little bit more than what I've seen in this particular year, which is a good thing. But my point is that you're only going to pay what you're required to pay. Okay? When we step it up to the next level, and that's the TPAF, the Teacher Pension Annuity Fund, that liability went up from $61 million in 2014 to over $98 million, $98.5 million. Okay? And it gets interesting when you look at the funding side. Now, the PERS side, as I indicated, the Board of Educations, all local Board of Educations in the state of New Jersey are required to pay that liability. That is, in fact, your liability. And it's in your financial statement. So when you go up front to the full accrual basis, that liability will be recorded. What's not recorded is the TPAF side, although it is a footnote in our financial statements, because the state of New Jersey is responsible for that payment. But what we have presented here is a pro rata share. So the pro rata share went from $61 million to $98.5 million on the TPAF side. On the funding side, the state of New Jersey actually made a payment on behalf of Saddlebrook Board of Education into the fund of $1,421,000. That's what they paid into the fund on behalf of your employees. the fully funding annual requirement, believe it or not, was $7.4 million, $7,405,000 on the one-year basis. So the state of New Jersey, and this is across the board, they funded your proportionate share like they did every other one at 19% of the annual funding. So it's no wonder when you look at this and you see that the total liability on the pension for the TPF side is just skyrocketing. Because if you think about it, you know, every year I come here and we talk about this thing, we're actually going 4 years backwards, right? They're only funding about 20% of what they should be funding on an annual basis. So that's why, and also because of obviously rate of returns and life expectancies and how that all works into the system. But the numbers are just skyrocketing, and you know, this is not unusual. I'm seeing it everywhere. But I just wanted to point it out because I think as board members, you guys should know, or at least get a better feel for the big picture on the pension funding side of it. Okay. So I'm going to end it up with comments and recommendations. We actually have 3 comments this year. Ray, did we have any last year? I don't remember. 0. Oh boy. There are 3 comments in the report this year. And that's going to be on a smaller of the 2 reports, the detail. But I'll just give you an overview as to what we have. The very first one deals with interfund balances. And interfund balances are monies that is owed from one fund to another fund. Most of the money here in the interfunds, we're really dealing from the general fund, which is the general operating fund, to the food service fund. And your enterprise fund has food service as well as the community school. And the reason the comments in here is that we had the interfund last year. We didn't report it because that was the first year that the interfund was created. It was not liquidated during the year, and it was increased a little bit. So what we wanted to do is point it out, and I know that Ray did in fact liquidate all the interfunds. But these numbers, you know, we were talking over $300,000 worth of monies from one fund to another fund. And part of that really originated from the funding of a capital project that was funded out of fund equity out of the food service fund. Okay? But I know that's been cleaned up. The next item that I have to discuss is dealing with health benefits, health and dental. So we do a tremendous amount of auditing back and forth through expenditures and payroll. One of the tests that we do look at is we do take a look at your health and dental bills and prescription. And we go through there, and then we do a random sample. And we want to make sure that, well, we pick a random month, and we want to make sure that everybody that we're paying for is, in fact, an active employee. And in doing that, we found that we had 2 individuals, one that remained on the dental bill beyond date of termination, and we had 1 individual that was on dental as well as health after termination. I know that Ray did secure some credits back from Delta, Raymond, and health. I'm not sure if you did. Okay. So those are 2 comments dealing with the 2 individuals that were, again, should have been removed on a timely basis and really weren't. The last one deals with facilities. We had projects that were funded through the School Development Authority grant, and those monies need to be reimbursed to us. We've spent the money, and we need to get them reimbursed. We have about $500,000, $517,000 that's due us. Those numbers need to be sent to the state, and the request for reimbursement needs to be done on a more timely basis. So we're just indicating that's one of the other comments in here. So those are the comments. Again, none of these are really earth-shattering. Again, just housekeeping kind of items here. I mean, stuff that I had discussed, and if they're on a housekeeping list and they reappear next year, they tend to rise to a level of an audit comment. And so that's really the approach that we're using. But again, I would not be concerned about really any of these comments. Thank you. Any questions? Good job.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Everybody have a wonderful new year.
Yeah,
and
happy New Year.
We do appreciate being here. Thank you. So thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks again. Yeah, righty. That's all me. I'm just going to talk a little bit about Goal 3. I would have liked to have had more information to share with you, but I do want to discuss some of the points, not issues. The reason why I don't have more details that I wanted to have is basically school being closed on Thursday and Friday kind of put a little crimp in there. But, so looking at District Goal 3, it was to continue the development and implementation of district-wide curriculum with New Jersey student learning standards with a focus on vertical and horizontal articulation. The key piece for that to happen was the appointment of the Director of Curriculum of Instruction. And we had a goal for that position to be put into place with administrators and full interview committees, and we did meet the goal. We did hire someone, Brenda Coffey, if you remember, back in October. So she is in the process of, still working on some of the curriculum. I think we're in a pretty good place as far as curriculum. That's pretty good, even better now than we're certainly where we were last year. And as you know, we do have CUSAC coming in, and the date for that, which Gina just reminded me because she saw it at her own school, is February 23rd. So they'll be coming in specifically for instruction and program only, as we know at this point. The continuation of rollout of curriculum continues across the board, more specifically for this year with the final stage of the New Jersey Science Standards. So that's all been completed. The curriculums are up to date, and that continues to be worked on. Number 3, and I'm taking this, just so you know, I'm taking this from the action plans that I developed once we came up with the goals. So number 3 within the district goals in my action plan is keep a focus on mathematics and PD. And I think I spoke to this a little bit last time, where we are involved, as you know, and again, gave us permission to have our math teachers take part in the Conquer Math program. And there is a lot of professional development going on there outside the building, as well as cooperation, collaboration, and just a lot of talk and discussion in the buildings themselves. So that's happening. We talk about vertical and the horizontal articulation. Well, it is happening across the grade levels and your horizontal levels. There is meetings with the teachers. What we typically do is, in order to save the district some money, is run it as a half-day PD, and we take teachers for half a day in the morning, and then another group of teachers for half a day in the afternoon. And what we've also done this year is, after hearing some feedback from staff members, is alternating which people are going in the morning and the afternoon, so therefore they're not missing the same students every day when they do this. So that's very healthy and working. Continue work in the area of science and standards. I spoke to that a little bit, but that's entirely across the board. All the standards are now in place. We do have new science testing that will be going forward this year at the same time as Park. It's a lot of new testing. As if you're not aware of it, we had a science test on a test basis. It was something that we've done for probably about 12 years already. And now they've come together and decided that with testing new grade levels, new information, it's a 3-year cluster. The window is a 3-year cluster of like grades 3, 4, and 5, and then probably, I think it's 7, 8, and 9. So we have this as the new process that'll be taking place in the springtime, so we're addressing that and then preparing for that. The supervisor meetings, director meetings, they do meet with me. They also meet with the rest of the administrative team. So right now, I have to be honest, I have them very, very busy getting everything together that we need for CUSAC, because I want to make sure that when CUSAC comes in here and they start to ask questions, we can produce things quickly. One of the things they don't like to see happen is when they ask for something and you spend 45 minutes looking for it. Okay, that's not being prepared. So I'm kind of, I like the use of technology. I'm not afraid of technology. My experience with this, even though the state's always looking for reports to be done online, by and large, when I've dealt with them in person and I offer up a computer or two for them to sit at, they want to go through your files. So I want to make sure that the files are current and have everything that we're supposed to have. So that we continue to work on. And I think at this point, you're familiar with all the STEM programs, and a reminder, I believe the STEM program, the convention is next Wednesday or Thursday? Let me see here. Yeah, the same day, January 17th. So that'll take place from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. in the high school gym. So you can come and see some more of the work that our teachers and students are doing together. So that's basically it. When I get more information, if I give you more information on definitive dates and programs that we've been involved in, I will certainly be happy to share that with you. Okay? All righty, so moving to our regular agenda. Please take a look at three actually, 3A. Number 1, we're going to go through each one of 1 through 9 inside that category. Please review them. Any questions in regards to any of those? Okay. Seeing none, I will move on to B, Curriculum and Instruction, Technology and Program, going through numbers 1, 2, and 3. Hello? Do you know, I'm not sure exactly, where is the Shakespeare Theater of New Jersey located? Let me just see if I might have it here. Let me just see. Let's see, that's the Makerspace one. Is it, I'll get it. Macbeth Lunch, middle school, high school, Garden State, Gardens, it's Lauren Park? Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you. Thanks, yeah, it's not indicated here, actually, so, sorry. Lauren Park, Steve. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Ween. Any other questions in 1, 2, and 3? Nope, okay. C, Business and Board. Let's see, we have professional development programs that staff will be going out to. I would like to just point out to you, if you look at number 4, it says MESH. That's our new VP that will be coming in. Start date is actually next week, but we're starting him off with 3 days of training for HIB. We want to get him up into speed with that. That's very, very important. We deal with that all the time. So certainly we want to get him going with that. So he'll be down in Monroe Township, which is where Supervisors Union or Association is, and FEA. So he'll be there.
What the hell is that? You think it's that one up there?
I don't know. Someplace. Anybody see any questions looking through that? I know there's 14 items listed. Okay, so I'm going to move on then, if you would review numbers 2 through number 7, which is on the next page.
A question on number 4. That's $10,000 a year for a dishwasher?
Yes. For a dishwasher install and electrical work that had to get done was a little under $40,000.
Oh, that's the, oh, okay.
It's not like a GE.
No, I thought it was just to maintain it was $10,000.
No,
That's
that's
the way I read it, all right.
to pay, and with the
Sorry.
funds available in the cafeteria fund, I reviewed it with the auditors, it was better to spread it out over multiple years.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. All right. There's nothing new in policy. So with that being said, I will turn it over to our board president, Ms. Robinson.
Thank you. The next part of our agenda is the committee reports, and they're not finalized at this point. Tony and Ray and myself met today, and we went through them, and we're trying to consolidate our committees to be based off our agenda, like each area of our agenda. And so I'm just going to ask for a little patience and a little flexibility, and we'll probably get it out to you by tomorrow. And just understand that some committees require a lot more time than others, so we're trying to balance everybody to be balanced in this thing, in this committees. So by Wednesday, but tomorrow, Ray, right, we'll go through them one more time, then we'll get them out, and then, so everybody, like there were a lot of people wanted to be on the same committees and there was none for others. So we're trying to get everybody on two, and then the other areas where the liaisons are to get everybody on something there. So we kind of share the wealth, so, okay? So just
Yeah,
please be flexible and just, we'll see how this goes.
We have to shake it out a little bit, but, getting to what Angela was saying. Two of the areas specifically, you had probably 6 people that signed up for in each one. We can't use 6, we could only use a max of 4. So we're trying to redistribute and be fair to everybody. And again, looking at, well, if this this one's going to be very, very lengthy in the time of a meeting or requires additional work, then try to give somebody on the second committee something that's not as stressful or time-consuming. Again, keep in mind that the goal here is to have these meetings the Tuesday prior to the next week's board meetings, which I think is healthy for all of us. Just want to mention one thing. As far as policies, we're in good shape. However, right before the holiday break, we did receive a bunch, it's probably about 5 or 6, I think, that came from Strauss Esme that we'll have to address in the very near future. And then there's a couple of other pieces that we want to look through as well. But I think, we'll sit down and look at the distribution. Keep in mind, I think we spoke about this a little bit last time, but we had a combination of things. In order to make this work, so it's Tuesday nights, we combined the budget, finance, and facilities. The thought process there is, first of all, if you're dealing with budget and finance, as you heard from the auditor, when you're looking at facilities, it's all kind of related. So we're trying to keep that all together rather than split that up. Education Committee will cover the curriculum, student services, and technology and programs. So anything from, it could be discussion about a trip, it could be a discussion about brand-new curriculum. So that's how broad that can be. Policies are what they are. Personnel, again, would be that we have a chance to talk about personnel prior to caucus meetings, and maybe even get it to the point where we can see at the caucus meeting who's being appointed to certain areas and have additional conversations on that. And of course, there's negotiations, which will be coming up soon, so we want to be ready for that as well, okay? And I think that's all I need to deal with at this point with that. And again, hopefully we'll have this together by Wednesday, is right? Okay. So that's where we are.
Thank you. Is there any correspondence? Tony, anything?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Okay, so next is old business. Anybody have old business? I have old, you have old business?
Just on a meeting.
Okay. So under old business, we talked about the July meeting, and Ray emailed everyone, and it looks like July 18th, that pretty much everyone was able to attend, be available for that. And I just need to know what time is the earliest that you can be there so we can plan accordingly.
You're going to use that as a goal setting?
Yes, that will be our goal setting and retreat.
Okay. Good.
That's what we'll do.
All right.
You need an attorney for that?
I don't think so.
No. I don't think we need you, Jess.
Unless Jessica wants to stop by with some iced tea or something.
Long Island.
So what time?
So if you could just let us, like, the earliest we can do it, okay? I mean, I know some people are flexible like me, it doesn't matter any time. If anyone has a time constraint, then just please tell us the earliest that you can come.
Through the chair, how long is this particular meeting, or this workshop?
Long.
Well,
Say how
okay,
much time? I
we
would say
did
5 o'clock?
last, about 5.5 hours, but we had lunch, and I don't know if you're going to do it later, maybe you're going to have a little dinner break or something, whatever, wherever.
Okay, so it's an all-day event.
Well, we could start it at 4 o'clock if everybody could start at 4. We could start at 10 o'clock in the morning if everybody can be there. It's really a matter of availability. Last year, we
Yeah.
were, the four of us that attended were there from
7 a.m.
early,
7 a.m.
7 a.m. now.
I work full-time with
So
this, so I get
six.
home around 5.
Okay.
All right, so at 5:30, I'm going to put this forward because I won't be here. So at 5:30, I think everyone should meet at the Capitol Grill,
Yeah.
and then take it from there.
Just bring your checkbook,
There
Brad.
you go.
For 4 o'clock for now.
Will 5:30 work for everyone?
It's late.
Six hours.
Yeah? Okay. But we'll keep it, we'll try to keep it
Hey,
short.
Probably do it from 5 to 9:30, 10 o'clock.
No, we don't need to do, yeah, we'll try
It
to.
takes a while.
Summertime, I'm awake.
Yeah, that's true.
Hopefully.
It's the goal. I mean, if you get
We could
through, if
try.
you get through the goal part of it and going over everything with Matt Lee,
Chair,
it should be fine.
Is it possible for us to start a little bit earlier and then Tim just come when he can? I mean, I don't know what,
Four?
That's acceptable, I mean, I'm okay with that. As long as you fill me in or whatever.
Of course.
You could
So
do
then
some of
like
the
4
other-
o'clock? 4 o'clock? Gina, could you do 4 o'clock?
Sure. Sounds good.
4? This way we can do like 4 to 9 or 4 to 8, whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
And
so
then-
four.
4 o'clock? Okay, so July 18th, 4 o'clock. And then, this is all about the meeting. So August, also the August meeting, we were looking at August 20th and 22nd. There was only one person who couldn't attend. I just want to confirm that. Everybody else was available for August 20th and 22nd for our August meeting. Tim, you could do that?
Yeah.
I think you were okay, right? I know just Kelly couldn't come, but if we can get 8 out of 9, I think that's pretty good for this summer.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, just giving everybody the dates. And then also, the county meeting is January 31st. We're not meeting again, well, Wednesday we are, but if people want to go to tell Ray so he can sign you up to go to the county meeting at Glen Rock High School on the 31st.
Yeah, we sent that out.
Okay, just want to make sure everybody knows.
When is the one that Bruce was talking about that's at Macaluso's?
No, at,
In March?
Maggiano's.
Maggiano's, I'm sorry. Is that?
it's, I got it right here. Hold on. It is,
Oh, okay, for the regular meeting.
March 29th. March 29th is Maggiano's.
Oh, March 29th.
And January 31st is the other one.
Bless you.
God bless.
Okay, just to give everybody dates, just to put in your calendar.
Mr. Chair, do you have the subject? Do you have the subject of the workshop?
I do. Hold on. I do. It's pretty good. Oh, it's the questions for the 12 state legislators. That's what they're going to be doing that day at Maggiano's. And then,
We're all showing up.
does anyone else have any other old business? Any new business?
Again, just wanted to remind you about the STEM convention, which is next week, but the end of the month,
What time is it?
it's January 17th, Wednesday, from 8 a.m. If you're free during the day, please feel free to stop by until 8 p.m. So I think we got some other things going on there, but we figured out a way to make it work. Also wanted to discuss that coming now to the end of January, scheduling is starting to take place, so there will be some discussions with that amongst the team and people that are required, or not required, but those people involved in building the schedule for next year. We'll be visiting that. And also, there's parent conferences coming up the end of the month. I think they start on the 30th, okay, and it's February 2nd or something like that. So that's what's coming up as far as anything new. That's all I can think of right now.
Okay. Any other new business? Okay. Okay, can I get a motion to open the meeting to the public?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, I gotta read. Residents are requested to state their names, addresses, and subject matter. In the event it appears the public comment portion of the meeting may exceed 45 minutes, the presiding officer may limit each statement made by a participant to 5 minutes duration. Issues raised by members of the public may or may not be responded to by the board. All comments will be considered and a response will be forthcoming if and when appropriate. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding students and employees of the board are discouraged and will not be responded to by the board. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. The board bears no responsibility, nor will it be liable for any comments made by members of the public. Members of the public should consider their comments in light of the legal rights of those affected or identified in their comments and be aware that they are legally responsible and liable for their comments. Would anyone from public wish to speak? No? Yes, okay. Please state your name and address.
Tricia Tinarella, 65 Graham Terrace. First and foremost, I want to thank Michael Accomando because without him, I probably would not get anywhere with this situation that I'm dealing with. Seriously. My daughter, Samantha, is a freshman, and unfortunately, she's been absent since the very end of November because she has had surgery, unfortunately, on her ankle. She's been out, I know by law, she needs to be out 10 consecutive days in order for her to get in-home studies. She's been out almost double that. It was made aware of. They also knew that before she was out, my thing is the more information everyone has, the better it is. We kind of knew this was coming. She had been out here and there before even the consecutive days. She was trying to make it, but sometimes she just couldn't. So she only just started getting in-home instruction, and I had to fight for it, which I don't think should happen. I was getting nowhere, unfortunately, with the school, other than excuses, and I'll call you back, when they never got back to me, and it just got approved, and, oh, I have to try and get the money for it. You know, that's not my problem. You know, what am I supposed to do? Because at that point, you're denying my child education, honestly. So that's a big problem with Michael Accomando. Thank you, because as soon as I was talking to him, and within 5 minutes, things were already rolling, to try and get this resolved. She had just gotten information. Her math teacher's coming. She was supposed to start last week, but with the weather, obviously in the snow days, but she is coming tomorrow. So I'm thankful for that. But otherwise, she's getting the...
Edgerseer? Is she doing the Edgerseer? The online?
Yes. So in the other classes, which she hasn't started because we received the information and the links to do the online for the other courses, but we don't have the Google, the information we need. My computer can't get the information that we need in order for her to access the classes online. Plus the fact that with the online instruction is going to be very difficult for her. And if that's what we're stuck with, that's what we're stuck with. But it's going to be very, very difficult. She does have an IEP, and it's going to be reading. And unfortunately, one of her problems is she cannot retain information. So it's going to be a very, very big it's going to be a huge struggle for her. She's going to get frustrated, and I don't know how she's going to do it. She's not really, it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a really big fight. So that's that situation. I'm trying to help her, and I don't know what else to do. Because, we have to do the online instruction, okay? But I don't get, I'm not expecting much from her because she can't learn that way. She learns in an environment, she can't retain anything. And if there's going to be information, she can't do it. I know. We're going to try, obviously, but unfortunately, it's going to be me sitting next to her trying to get her to retain anything. She can look at the information given and maybe pick out one word. So it's going to be a lot of her reading and rereading and then having to get to the question, have to remember the question, like it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I don't know what to do. That's going to be a problem.
So we spoke twice
Yep.
last week. So,
Yes, we did.
And with that, I just wanted, to reiterate the fact that I do have feelers out from the county, just trying to get substitute
Hopefully.
teachers to make that happen.
Hopefully.
But in addition to that, I did tell you that if there are any issues with the online component, that I will be able to get somebody to come over and sit with your daughter to help her. If she has those questions about reading and getting that off the ground and making that work, so that at least we're in a better place. And I don't want her floundering. Nobody does. Also, I want to make sure that you understand that any time that we miss, we will be making up with her. So if there's any difficulties when she does come back to school, she needs extra reinforcement, we will continue to make up those hours. I apologize that there was a breakdown in communication there. I think I did the best I could within a few days to help you out.
Yes.
And we're in a better place, and again, thank you, Ms. Accomando, too.
Yes.
But certainly, we want to make sure that works. So
Yeah.
please, as I told you, don't hesitate to call. If you get on there, do you need help getting into the online piece? I don't understand what the...
The program, I guess my computer and my laptop don't,
Are you operating on Windows? Are you on Windows?
I have to
Okay.
look.
All right.
My husband's trying to figure that all
Okay.
out.
All right, because we could probably get through some assistance with that as well.
Yeah, it's
All right,
not
if you have a
working.
laptop, there might be something that we can, if you can visit us one day, I can have one of our IT
Yeah.
people help you with that.
I don't-
Okay?
Through the chair, I don't know if is this on? Oh, yeah. Being that she's missing the class time, would they be able to provide her with like a Chromebook?
Yeah, if you need something else, we can give you something
Yeah,
to
that
use.
would be better.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes,
So.
thank you.
We'll make whatever, to make this happen with Edris here, we'll do anything we can to make it happen. So whether
Wonderful.
it's your device, and if your device can't do it, we can lend you a Chromebook.
Okay,
All right?
thank you, that would be
That's fine.
wonderful. I don't want her to come back to school and be stressed out and have to make up things after school, before
Sure.
school, or lunch.
Yeah.
Because thinking about it, when she goes back to school, it's going to be like after summer break. And like transitioning, she's going to have that all over again. Plus, it's a social aspect, so that she's going to be fighting a lot of,
Okay.
problems.
So again, we wanted to give her the support that we
Thank
can
you.
give her without taking her away from any of the social aspects of her education. So if it doesn't mean spending some time after school 2 or 3 days a week, we'll make sure that something
Okay,
continues,
thank
okay?
you.
You're welcome.
Also, I just wanted to bring up a couple other issues that I've kind of discovered with this whole situation with Samantha. She's had to have an aide. The times where she was here and really tried to stick it out, her doctor put her in a wheelchair because we're trying to avoid surgery on the other ankle right now. In the future, it will, need to be fixed, but we're trying to avoid it. So her doctor had her in the wheelchair for safety, just, trying to protect the other one and relieve the other one. We were trying to avoid surgery. And sometimes we would be on the side waiting for an aide. Sometimes they would be there, sometimes they wouldn't. I would have to get her out, get her in the wheelchair, put her back in the car, get her in the front. Sometimes there would be no aide. Sometimes I would we can't get anybody. Let me pull someone from another class. And then there was someone that had been scheduled, and Samantha couldn't do it. She was in too much pain. She had to take her medication. I called. And the comment that I got was, I don't know what I'm going to do with him now. I can't exactly tell him to leave. I'm going to have him clean the tables off in the cafeteria. I can't tell him to leave. I can't waste the money now. So another one of the issues,
Just so I get clarification, was there an assigned aide, one person that was assigned to Samantha?
not consecutively.
Okay.
It was kind of like finding, I think there was maybe 3 days where we had the same
Okay.
person.
All right.
So, but I do want to say that, I don't know his last name, but there was an aide for 2 days maybe, and his name was Nick, and I know he substitutes for Jim. I don't know his last name,
Okay.
but he's wonderful. Samantha was comfortable with him, knew she would be okay through the day, you know?
Okay.
So that was a whole other issue. I'm sorry if the aide had to clean tables off the cafeteria. I'm sorry. You know, Samantha was trying to make it through.
Right.
And I couldn't
Okay.
do anything else about it. She was trying. She was really trying. And then there was, in the wheelchair, which she hated every minute of it, but she tried to stick it out. She was in a class upstairs. And they had a fire alarm. Wasn't a fire drill, from what I understand. It was a a fire alarm. So they made her walk down the stairs in her cast. So my thing is, if she's in a wheelchair, there's a reason. And I understand that the elevators do not work during a fire alarm, fire drill. I understand that. And I do understand the safety, those type of things. Speaking to many firemen in town, they all said that there should be a safe room upstairs. That was one of the first things they said to me, because I also got, when talking about this, that there's a safe room downstairs, that I said there should be one upstairs, and he kind of didn't know what to say. And he said, well, there's one in the nurse's room. There's one in the nurse's room. And I knew that there needed to be one upstairs. Well, my husband was a fireman. I knew. So they made her walk down in her cast. What if she slipped? And what if someone bumped into her? And I said, I know that there's whatever it's called, the thing that's on the handrails.
Right, that connects the wheelchair.
I was told, and I don't know if this is right to say or not, but I was told that those are only for the Visions kids, and the aides know how to use them, and their aides know how to use them. So my child being upstairs in a wheelchair doesn't work for that? I don't understand. It's a safety issue. That's something I want to make you guys aware of, because I don't want it to happen again.
No.
Forget about Samantha and what her issue is, but, her doctor was getting upset at this point. Her doctor was really upset. So I don't know what to say. The communication was horrible, and it was a lot of flipping back and forth. Oh, call guidance. Okay, we'll call child study team. Call guidance. I don't think I'd do that. Call the child study team. Well, they said they don't do it either. So then it went back to, the other, and, guidance does that.
Okay. Just so you know, the actual protocol is that the call is made to child study team. Dr. Santora gets that call. There has to be a verification between the school doctor and the doctor who's requesting all this. So then it gets verified between the two of them. The doctors are on board, and then it goes to guidance to get the person in place. So I don't know what the breakdown was there. I'm trying to still decipher what happened, but that is the process.
Okay, I had no idea of that, and I kept getting thrown around.
Okay.
So I didn't know, and I didn't know how it worked.
What a title.
And, I didn't know. This is the first time, and hopefully the last time that this will happen. Unfortunately, she may need surgery for the other one in the future, but she's trying to hold it off. But, just protecting my kid while she's here.
Well, you're doing the right thing. Appreciate it.
And
my question is, when she comes, whatever, it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is, when Samantha comes back to school, do you think she'll still be on crutches? Will she need to be in a wheelchair? I just want to be prepared,
Yes.
to know where we're going.
And like we had talked, thank you, she will probably stay out, she'll stay out until the beginning of next marking period, because that just makes sense, especially with the week being half days. We are hoping that she will not be on anything.
Okay.
She might just have a lace-up brace, but, she might have to move slow. But her doctor at this point doesn't feel safe and wants her to be completely healed because he's so disgusted with what's gone on. And that is a problem in itself because when, her follow-up came, she has to follow up with him every week at this point. And we were talking about, because she said, when can I go back to school? When can I go back to school? And he said, it was going to be a little bit more time. And he's like, oh, wait a minute. He said, you had problems with the school and her safety, so we're just going to keep her out until she's completely healed. I'm like, she wants to go back to school, but then, the end of the market is happening.
If she's, if for some reason she feels that she wants to come back, if we could do an abbreviated schedule, so she comes in for 2 or 3 periods a day.
Yeah.
We can do that, whatever we can do to make that
Okay.
work, okay?
Because she wants to come back.
Yeah,
and then
I just don't like to see students out too long, they kind of
No.
get used to it.
It's not good.
And we don't want that to happen.
She's already there,
All
and
right,
she
so-
can't stand it,
Okay.
All
right.
So hopefully, that'll be
Good,
better.
but just let me know when she's coming back, call me, shoot me an email, just let me know what the outcome is, is she coming back with questions, I want to make sure that
Okay,
everything's in the right
great. We're
place.
hoping she
Okay.
won't be. She just might have to move a little bit slower, and her gym will probably just be modified. But
Okay.
I know the gym teachers are wonderful.
That's
They
fine. As
know.
long as you have the documentation from the doctors, whatever needs to be
Absolutely.
put in place, we'll put in place.
Absolutely.
All right?
All right, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Because I'm just a clarification question. You kept referring in your story, P, and I can think of 2 Ps. And I just.
I'm sorry, I don't know if I can say that. I've never done this before. I've never had I don't know. Exactly.
I think I know.
I know.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'll share.
I just
Okay.
don't,
Okay,
I don't know.
all right,
So, okay, sorry.
thank you,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to speak? Okay, seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the meeting to the public?
Motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? All right, wait, I have to get to my page. Stop. Where am I? Okay. Okay, can I have is that motion? Can I have a motion to go to closed session? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we're going to recess to go into closed session, closed executive session to discuss personnel, HIB investigations, and matters covered by the attorney-client privilege per NSA 10-4-6 at sequence, Open Public Meetings Act. The subject matter discussed may be disclosed to the public if and when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Action may be taken when the board reconvenes in open session. Okay, we're good. Thank you, everyone, for coming.